We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this college football rebel outpost, this home for college football sickos. With a donation, help us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Hit that $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. Welcome on in, everybody. It is Friday, October 3rd, and I think this is going to be a live show where once again, the most unpopular host of the most unpopular national college football YouTube channel in the country, I am going to get everybody mad. Once again. Big Ten people, can the Big Ten keep the Buckeyes and the Wolverines happy? I don't know. I've been real consistent since the start of this YouTube channel. I have said over and over and over again, realignment never sleeps. Realignment never sleeps. The larger the conferences, the more difficult it is to keep it together. I also said that the Big 12 the Big Ten could implode. I said it's not going to happen in 2025 or 26. It could happen in 2030. I also been really consistent in saying over and over and over again for 4 years, if the Big Ten does implode, if the Big Ten does fracture, it's going to be by the hands of the Buckeyes and the Wolverines. Because they're going to be looking out for their self-interest. Just like USC, just like Texas and Oklahoma, just like everybody. I have been consistent. Can the Big Ten keep the Wolverines and the Buckeyes happy? And I know what's going to happen. A lot of Big Ten people are going to be saying, Greg, you're doing it again. I think they used the term, you're gaslighting. I'm not even quite sure what that means, but maybe I'm using the wrong words, but I'm going to use that. Greg, you're gaslighting. Greg, you're using emotional blah, 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 blah. You're creating drama, Greg. That's what it is. You are creating drama where there is no drama. I'm just saying. It's always been about Michigan and Ohio State. It has always been about the biggest dominoes. It isn't just true in the old Pac-12 and the Big 12 and the ACC. It's also true in the SEC and the Big 10. The biggest dominoes. If they fall, well, can the Big Ten keep Michigan and Ohio State happy? We're gonna be talking about that today, and we're gonna go through an article written by Scott Docterman from The Athletic. Real interesting article. I do not blame Ohio State and Michigan for saying, whoa, Nelly here. This might not work for us, brother. For lots of reasons, this might not be the best deal we can get as a conference. We want flexibility. We don't want the grant of rights to go to 2046. We're not getting a big enough piece of the pie. We don't know what the future is because of the non-codification or the codification of House v. NCAA settlement. I don't blame the Buckeyes and the Wolverines, and I don't blame the other Big Ten schools for saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 we got stuff going on around us. We do not like it. We want to lock it in. We want to secure our future. Oh, we're willing to give a little bit more on the media money. We're willing to give a little bit more on the cash infusion to the biggest brands. But in return, we keep the Big Ten together. I don't blame those schools either. Again, a lot of Big Ten people are going to be upset with me today. But whatever's going on in college, in the college football landscape, does not stop at the water's edge of the Big Ten country. It does not. The same rules apply. Now, there's a little bit difference in that. Let's compare the situation with USC. The Pac-12 next media contract that they were working on weren't going to give USC above the stratification line to help them compete at the highest level in college football in other sports, because they knew that the payment to the players were coming directly from the schools. Same reason why Texas and Oklahoma left the Big 12. USC did not have a whole bunch of options. So it ain't quite the same. I mean, the Buckeyes in Michigan, they're one option. Two options. But the biggest option is to wait for 2030, check out the landscape, and if they want to break off, with some other biggest brands in the country to form some other league. I don't even think it would be a conference. I think it would be a separate league. They might want to have that optionality. They might. Or they might, might do a crazy thing. Well, I'll just leave it at that one. I don't even want to go down the other road. As I've been saying here for 4 years, the Big Ten could implode. Not likely, not the chalk, but it could implode by 2030. It's all about Michigan and Ohio State. Can the Big Ten keep them happy? Now, what I would disagree. What I would disagree. Gaslighting, Greg, gaslight. What I would disagree is the following. And now I'm going to get in trouble with non-Big Ten people. With non-Big Ten people. This is where I get in trouble. There was a great question here. Antoine Johnson. Thank you for coming on in, Antoine Johnson, Mr. Arizona State Sun Devil. Great. Can you explain how the Big Ten and everyone else in academia only caring about themselves to fix the problems of college football? I may not like CC plan, but no one else has ideas. I'm so glad you put this comment down. I am. Thank you so much, Mr. Johnson. Number one, everybody talks about, and I'm not picking on Antoine Johnson or anyone in particular, but nobody actually talks about Cody Campbell's plan, except for moi. Nobody actually talks about his plans. I haven't heard anybody, except for the College Football Mafia show and myself, really talk about what his plans are. If you like his plans on X, when I get in all these conversations with people, they never say, I like Cody Campbell's plan. They just like that he has a plan. Well, if you go into his plan, there is no way, and now I'm being honest. You asked the question, I'm going to be honest. There's no way on God's green earth that the Big Ten, the SEC, would ever support that ridiculous plan. It is horrific. Now, you might have a different opinion. Put it down in the comments. Let me know what you like about the plan. But giving up complete autonomy of your conference and schools to a faceless, bureaucratic, government-run entity with no ties to the schools or conferences, for them to make the decisions on the meeting negotiations, conferences, scheduling, the rules, the enforcement of the rules, with no accountability. Who would they be accountable to? It is a horrific plan. Now, but that wasn't your question, was it? What is the plan to fix the problems of college football? I really don't think there is one. And that includes Cody Campbell's plan. That is a horrific plan. I don't think there is one. Other than trying to get the House versus NCAA settlement codified. That's the plan. That's the plan that the Big 12 shares with the SEC and the Big 10. That's the plan that the ACC shares with the SEC and the Big 10. All Power 4 conferences share the same plan. They're all back in the SCORE Act. They're all back in compromise with the SCORE Act. They got to get this thing codified. If they don't get it codified, then everything's going to go up pear-shaped anyways. Everything's going to get destroyed anyways. That's the plan. Now, Cody Campbell has come out with a plan, and he wants to reform the 1961 Broadcasting Act. Right? I don't like his plan. It just seems like no one wants to get anything done. They're trying to get this thing codified. They're spending millions of dollars trying to get this settlement codified. They've got a plan. It's called the SCORE Act. It's all over the place. Let me show you. Here it is right here. The SCORE Act. The SCORE Act will enable universities to continue the robust support of Olympic sports. These 4 conferences have spent over $2.3 billion other than football and basketball. These 4 conferences passed the SCORE Act now. They've got a plan. Now, you might not like it. Here's the big one. Here is the big, this is what really nobody wants to talk about. Except for me, for whatever reason. Cody Campbell wants to reform the 1961 Broadcasting Act. Good for him. I can support that. He's got it. That brought the reform of the 61 Broadcasting Act is in the SAFE Act. Now listen to me. If you're going to listen to any part of this show, listen to this part, and then you can ignore me for the next 1 hour and 50 minutes. Okay? The SAFE Act, the Democrats, the Senate Democrats, have the reform of the 1961 Broadcasting Act written in the bill. The SCORE Act, which the Big 12, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 10 are supporting, does not have the reform of the 1961 Broadcasting Act written in the bill. And for those who do not know, reform of the 1961 Broadcasting Act basically says, if they reform it, you can make it where the conferences can bundle their content together, sell it, and hopefully get more money from the media partners. All right? Good. All right. So, the SAFE Act has it in their bill. The reform of the 1961 Broadcasting Act. Cody Campbell's going to be playing more commercials tonight through the weekend about how we need to reform the 1961 Broadcasting Act to bring in more money to save Olympic sports, to bring in more money to save women's sports, to bring in more money to save everybody, right? That's Cody Campbell's pitch, correct? But now ask yourself this question. Why doesn't Cody Campbell support the SAFE Act? Because he doesn't. He took a shot at it. Why? Ask yourself. Come on, guys. I'm just asking yourself. I'm asking a question here. I'm asking a question. Why doesn't Cody Campbell support the SAFE Act, the Democratic bill? Can anybody tell me why Cody Campbell does not support that bill? It reforms the 1961 Broadcasting Act. Why doesn't he support that bill? I'll tell you why. Because the SAFE Act doesn't give the power, even if you could bundle the content together among conferences. The SAFE Act gives the power, keeps the power to the conferences. Cody Campbell doesn't want the conferences to have the power to negotiate their next media contract. How do I know that? Go back to the September 18th Ross Dellinger article on Cody Campbell's plan. We've done a couple of live shows on it. Cody Campbell, in his commercials, are telling everybody, listen to me, we can save everything by reforming the 1961 Broadcasting Act. But he doesn't want the conferences to have the power to make those decisions. He wants a government agency. Cody Campbell's running a commercial tonight that blasts all the commissioners for being greedy. So he's going after Brett Yormark too. But get back to Antoine Johnson's comment. What is the plan to save college football? Other than trying to get if we don't get this settlement codified, we do not save college football. We go from $2.8 billion in back pay to $20 billion or more in back pay. We're not going to save anything unless this thing gets codified. Period. And there's people fighting against this thing to get codified. Every lawyer, every agent, every player agent on X doesn't want any codification of anything. Every agent on X only wants state laws to run everything. Different state laws. They don't see a problem with any of this. They don't see a problem without any guardrails. They don't see a problem with suing. The lawyers are supporting the agents. The agents are supporting the lawyers. And it is why I have become incredibly unpopular with the lawyers and agents that you all read on X. So anyways, back to the show. Back to the show. We are talking about Ohio State and Michigan. Can the Big Ten keep them happy? Let's do a roll call real quick here. Florida Man is in the house. The Walking Geek. Charlie Atwood. James C. Skaven. Yes. Steele Austin. Doug Steinhauser. Don Scruggs. Al Woody. Edward the Auburn Tiger. Kenneth Stromness is in the house. Can Michigan and Ohio State ever be happy? I think they've been happy. Stephen Vitt. I think they've been very happy. I think they have. But can they keep them happy? That's the question. Bob Swanger is in the house. Vox Quindaro is here. Who else is in the house? Gerald Jones. Yes, we're happy. RT, so many sickles. AMAC is here. Jay Chapman. Friends Call Me Sean is in the house. Amy S. But the Big Ten institutions look out for each other, right? For the most part, a long history of it, yes. But forever is a very long time. And we have Peek Around the Corner, and I have said it for 4 years. Number one, forever is a very long time. Number two, realignment never sleeps. Number three, the institutions are going to be looking out for themselves. Ohio State and Michigan have benefited greatly from Big Ten associations. Greatly. In the Big Ten, the other schools have benefited greatly from having Ohio State and Michigan be the lead dogs of the country for many, many, many decades. But you cannot strip away the rights of the Buckeyes and the Wolverines for looking out for themselves. Unless you want to give power to a government agency that can make all the conference decisions and scheduling decisions. Unless you want to go down that road. But that road that ain't going to be successful. So you cannot strip away the autonomy of the Ohio State University in Michigan. But they have looked out for each other for the most part. They have made billions of dollars in research, collaboration, shared the library, sharing researchers, sharing faculty, sharing buildings and locations, and bids on federal grants. They have benefited each other greatly. And that's one of the things that the Buckeyes and the Wolverines are going to have to weigh on this. But when you are asking the Ohio State University and the Michigan Wolverines to extend the grant of rights from 2036 to 2046, that is a big, big ask. And I also think, and I said it yesterday after talking with people, I think one of the hiccups on this, one of the reasons why this will not happen, if it doesn't happen, is that there might be a better deal up ahead. There could be a better Big Ten deal. Does Michigan and Ohio State agree with some sort of private capital deal that keeps the private capital firm, whatever this firm is, as one slice of 20 for the next 20 years? And then suddenly the Southeastern Conference comes over the top and does a better deal? Where Alabama and Georgia gets a little bit more money here, a little bit more money there, a little bit more flexibility here. Being the first one out of the gate. There was so many hurdles for the Big 12 to pull this off. So many hurdles for the Big 12 to get this done. They went through it, they went through the process, and we talked about probably the biggest hurdle was to get every Big 12 school to sign on the dotted line when we knew that one of the things they would have to do is to extend that grant of rights. There are schools in the Big 12 that do not want to do that at this time. They want to keep their flexibility open. That's Michigan and Ohio State. They have benefited from being Big Ten institutions for over 100 years. The Buckeyes came in at 1919. But honestly, they do not need the Big Ten as much as other schools need the Big Ten in the Big Ten. So this is a hard rock to push uphill to get this done. And again, and I'll say it again over and over again, I'm not, as a Golden Gopher, I'm not even for this deal if it's just about a cash infusion. I don't want a private capital firm to be 1/20th piece of the slice of the pie if they're not offering more value 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. This private capital firm they better have some ties in with some major streaming company, media company, or there better be a media company for me to say this is okay. Even if that forces the breakup of the Big Ten. I will say this as well. And I said this on X. I said this on X. I have, I'm speculating here. I would think, I might be wrong, but I would think that the chances of the Big Ten agreeing by the end of the month to this private capital deal, I would put it at less than 50%. And maybe I'm completely wrong on that. Maybe it's at 85% and they're about to push it in. They're about to score the touchdown, but the Buckeyes in Michigan wants to change a little bit here, a little bit there. Maybe that's where they're at. I don't know, but I think it's probably, my guess is below 50%. But every time, not to pick on Cody Campbell, but every time Cody Campbell puts out a commercial, those forces out there that want to break up the Big Ten by government decree, every time that gets put out there and supported and the money is put behind it, I think the chances of the Big Ten striking a deal internally and externally with the private capital firm, I think the chances of it happening probably goes up a couple of percentage points every time a Cody Campbell commercial runs, to be honest with you. This is one of the motivations to do something like this. To finally squash any idea, any flickering embers out there, that there could be some sort of decree saying that the Big Ten, you no longer exist. Because that is in the Cody Campbell's plan. The government entity agency would have control over conferences. They could rearrange them. Again, go back to Ross Dellinger's September 18th article on Cody Campbell's plan. So that's probably a great motivation. Super Leagues, if you wanted, by the way, everybody, I thank everybody for coming on in. Thank you. Going to stop the roll call short here. Ryan Willie, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the $10 holler. Ryan Willie, John Kurtz is a phony. I would disagree with that. Last year when the Big 12 was looking at a private equity, he was all for it, but now the Big 10 is looking into it. He's saying that the Big 10 is going to ruin college football. I disagree with John Kurtz. I could not disagree with him more, but he's not a phony. He's a very good guy, very smart guy, very good voice for Big 12. Very intelligent, professional, a whole lot smarter than I am, got a lot of skills. I consider John Kurtz a friend. He's not a phony. But I do disagree with him. I don't know what's going on here. What is going on? Excuse me. Hold on a second. I got a little flicker in my YouTube. Hold on. I apologize, everybody. Please give me a moment here. Hold on. We're almost back. Okay. I disagree. Look, I don't. I for the most part, and I think Big 12 fans, hopefully the Big 12 fans understand this from me. I love Big 12 football. I love Big 12 football. I love the institutions. I watch Big 12 football. I'm going to watch BYU and West Virginia tonight. I happen to love Big 10 football. I happen to love Southeastern Conference football. I happen to love ACC football. I happen to love the Missouri Valley Conference FCS football. That's just me, okay? I happen to believe that Brett Yormark has done an incredible job for the Big 12. I have disagreed with them when it comes to the college football playoffs and things of that nature, but I have given him flowers like crazy. When the Big 12 looked into private equity, that whole thing, I thought it was the right move to do. Absolutely. And his international deals, I've been telling you guys, are all pushing international. They're trying to get strategic partners that probably will be part of the private capital. In what Brett Yormark did to get in front of the Pac-12 and the media rights, I don't know. I have given Brett Yormark kudos left and right. Have I picked on him a little bit? Yes, not as much as Silent Tony, not as much as Greg Sankey, but in this college football playoff thing, yes, I've given him a few elbows. But I mean, what the Big Ten is doing right now with this private capital thing is basically what the Big 12 was looking at. So why is the Big 12 being innovative, and why is the Big 10 suddenly greedy? And you get that from Pat Forday. You get it from all these reporters. If the Big 10 sneezes, if the Big 10 blows its nose, it's a scandal out there right now. That is where we're at. I just got done ripping on the Big 10. Like I told John Kurtz, I lost 20 subscribers overnight. Big 10 people were screaming at me because I called the Big 10 soft. And I still call them soft. It doesn't make any sense not to require 10 Power 4 opponents during the regular season in the Big 10. But I'm not going to go hysterical every time the Big Ten does something, especially when it's the same damn thing the Big 12 tried to do. It's the same thing with Kansas State playing in Ireland. Was that greedy? No, that's not greedy. That's business. That's pushing your brand. That's trying to get more sponsorships. That's that's the start of a 10-year process. But the reporting, did you notice the reporting when it was announced that Michigan and Western Michigan are playing in Germany? Did you watch those national reporters? It was like everything the Big Ten does right now. It's a crime against humanity. So I call it out. So I understand what you're coming from, Ryan Willie. It is incredibly, there's so much hypocrisy out there. It really is stunning. But John Kurtz is not a phony. He's a very good guy. Very good guy. Very intelligent. Great at his job. Great interview. He knows football. I love watching his shows. I disagree with them sometimes, but I think he's a very good guy. Christopher Hooter. We got a super chat. Christopher Hooter, Greg, in these uncertain times, why would anyone want to go all ACC and lock themselves into a media deal through 2046? Thank you for the $5 holler, Christopher Hooter. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. But because it's not the same thing as the ACC. That's why. The current Big Ten, the grant of rights to the media contract are two separate things in the Big Ten. The current media rights ends in 2030. The current Big Ten grant of rights ends in 2036. In this private capital deal, the private capital company or whatever this thing is wants to have the grant of rights extended to 2046. So they know it would be quite burdensome, quite expensive. They basically would get everybody locked into the Big Ten into 2046. The grant of rights grants the rights to the conference to negotiate the media rights of every school in that conference. It's not the same thing as the ACC when the grant of rights and the media rights were supposedly attached together. So so if Michigan, so it ain't go all ACC. It's different. If this would happen, that Michigan and Ohio State would most likely, 99% most likely, be Big Ten schools until at least 2046. But the media negotiations is still going to be in 2030. And then maybe 5 years to 2035. So it's not quite the same thing as the ACC. You got it. Thank you for the $2 holler, Kenneth Maynard. Appreciate it. Don't go all ACC of the Big 12. Keep your options open. 21, bucket 21. Imagine how the tune of some P2 schools would change if Michigan and Ohio State leave to go from a super conference and leave bottom half of the Big 12 to be akin to the Pac-2. I don't know. Would there be a change? You will not get a change from me. I've been consistent. I have been 100% consistent. That is up to Michigan and Ohio State. It's their decision. Just like USC, just like Texas and Oklahoma, it's their decision. So nothing is, no, I am not being hypocritical at all. If those two schools leave for something else, then the Big Ten schools are probably going to reimagine the Big Ten. Backfield, bring schools in, just like everybody else does. Right? Just like everybody else. Yes, that there would be change in your media rights. Absolutely. Look, I have spent 4 years talking about this scenario. This is the scenario that could happen. But it ain't going to be done by Cody Campbell or government decree. And the Buckeyes in Michigan are not leaving to the Southeastern Conference. They would be leaving to form something else. Now, I think it's heavy chalk that the Buckeyes in Michigan remain in the Big Ten Conference. So don't get me wrong. Michigan, Ohio State as well, but Michigan in particular they are very particular in who they supported to get into the Big Ten. They've always wanted to be associated with big research universities. So keep that in mind. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying Michigan and the Buckeyes are going to leave, but I'm just saying this is how it would happen. The Big Ten implosion would happen by the hands of the Buckeyes and the Wolverines. I've been saying that forever. Been saying that forever. Helmer Hennessy. Too long a period of time. Who knows what changes are coming? A chocolate-covered turd is still a turd. Thank you for the $5 holler, Helmer Hennessy. I think you're talking about, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't know any conference that would take Michigan. Look, Don Scruggs, let me put it to you this way. If Michigan leaves the Big Ten, if Michigan truly leaves the Big Ten, it's because Georgia and Michigan are going to be conference mates in a whole different league. That's when Michigan leaves the Big Ten. They're going to be playing you guys. They're not going to join the Southeastern Conference. But then Georgia's going to have to leave the Southeastern Conference. I would put my chips on Michigan and Ohio State. Now, okay, let's get to the article. Thank you, Helmer Hennessy. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Let's get to it, guys. Number one, first of all, Big Ten All-State agree to deal around women's sports. Big Ten and All-State with an agreement, sort of like the Big 12. The Big Ten and All-State are set to announce a new multi-year deal designed to highlight women's sports. The partnership was expected to announce today includes the creation of the All-State Big Ten Women's Championship Series, a year-long competition that will award points based on regular season and postseason performance. All-State also will become the official insurance partner of the Big Ten. Financial details of the deal were not disclosed. It creates a real opportunity to capitalize on the tremendous growth that we've seen in both audience waiting on TV and streaming, and also the attendance records that we have set over the last couple of years, Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti told Sports Business Journal. It's really part of the evolution of the incredible growth of the women's sports in the conference. As part of the partnership, All-State will become the title sponsor of the Big Ten Women's Basketball Tournament. It also will be presenting partner of the all 12 Big Ten Women's Sports Championships and Tournaments. All-State, too, will sponsor the Big Ten Network's new series, On the Pitch, spotlighting women's soccer stories from across the country. Beyond the sport sponsorship play, Petitti sees the addition of a major brand such as All-State, and the activations include around the partnership as part of the continued potential opportunity in women's sports. Media rights is the PATC money shot of the article. Media rights in particular have become an increasingly prevalent discussion in whether a package that heavily leans on women's sports could fetch significant value in the open market. So, could that happen sometime in the future? Could that happen sometime in the future? Okay. Can billions in private capital keep the Big Ten locked in and Ohio State and Michigan happy? Ralph Russo and Scott Dochterman The Athletic. As Big Ten leaders ponders the pros and the cons of a deal that would inject hundreds of millions of dollars into the coffers of its schools, a couple of essential questions face each institution. In these uncertain times in college sports, are we better off locking in a long-term future together? What is the price of loyalty? The Big Ten and Commissioner Tony Petitti have been exploring potential partnerships with private capital companies for about a year. The conference has made enough progress that a decision on whether to strike a deal could come by the end of the month. Now, just that. The decision on whether to strike a deal could come by the end of the month. What does that mean? Yogi Buck Sr., the Gore and the media deal are two separate documents in the Big Ten, two separate timetables. They're not locked in together. We've talked about this for 4 years. What does it mean? What does it mean? A deal could come by the end of the month. Does that mean they're on the 10-yard line? Does it mean they're on the 10-yard line? Or does it mean that Michigan and Ohio State are like, okay, we've had these discussions. We're kind of up to our necks with these discussions. You got until the end of the month to keep, to get us turned around on this. Why is the reporting all about the end of the month? Why is that a deadline? Who is setting that deadline? Is that the private capital company setting that deadline? Is that the Buckeyes setting that deadline? Is that the Wolverines setting that deadline? Is that the Big Ten setting that deadline? I don't know. But that's one interesting aspect to the reporting that is going around here. Sources at multiple schools told The Athletic that nothing is close to finalized and there's still much work to be done. Well, why are we getting this at the end of the month thing then? To sort through vital details such as who gets what out of the arrangement. ESPN reported Wednesday and The Athletic confirmed the deal would be tied to some sponsorship and branding rights and could bring an upward of $2 billion, which would be distributed among the 18 members in the conference office. A new entity for those rights called the Big Ten Enterprises would be created. Okay, so they've had enough discussions. They've had enough socialization to know it would be called the Big Ten Enterprises. They've gone down the road quite a bit in all of this, right? But there's more details. More details. Most importantly, though, the deal includes members agreeing to an extension of the conference grant of rights to 2046, essentially tying the schools together through their media rights for the next 20 years. The deal would not extend the Big Ten's current TV contracts with Fox and other networks, and that's what I've been trying to explain for 4 years, and still people in the chat room today do not understand it. This is not extending the current media contract. It just extends the conference's ability to use your content and bundle it up and sell it as a package, as a bundled package among all 18 institutions of the conference. Now, I get it. It's a tall task to say, okay, we're gonna extend the grant of rights to 2046, but it's not the media rights, guy. It's not the media contract. With all the speculation about what the next iteration of college sports will be, especially major college football, which accounts for the vast majority of the value of the multi-billion-dollar TV contracts that fuel the top conferences. The Big Ten schools have a chance to ensure the future of the league through what could be Trumpless times amongst every major media deal. College sports comes up from 2030 to 2036, leading to speculation that another sweeping round of realignment could follow. The Big Ten stability is more important for some than others. Last month, Ohio State President Ted Cotta more than hinted at where his school stands in an interview with USA Today about the precarious future of college sports. We don't have any answers, he said. I would say that there's only a couple of schools that really represent the biggest brands in the Big Ten, and you can see that by the TV viewership. The interview came just days after the Ohio State Buckeyes season opening victory against Texas drew 16.6 million viewers on Fox. So that's what happens when you put the Ohio State brand out there, Carter told USA Today. The Big Ten is in the middle of a media rights deal worth more than $7 billion that runs through the 29-30 school year. That revenue is distributed equally among most members. In the league's vested members are projected to receive more than $82 million each for the current fiscal year. Oregon and Washington agreed to receive half shares of the conference revenue until July 1st, 2030. Carter stopped short of demanding Ohio State start receiving a bigger slice of the Big Ten pie. It doesn't matter what Ted Carter thinks. I think that's going to be a conversation that will be had over time, he told USA Today. Those conversations are being had right now. Distributions for the new infusion of private capital would be tiered. Exactly how is unclear, but the basics are obvious. This would be an opportunity for the conference to steer more revenue to the schools that drive the most value, such as Ohio State and Michigan. It's not surprising that those schools are cautious about signing up for a deal that comes with strings attached. Again, the Buckeyes in Michigan, they could get top dollar, which is going to be, look, if the Buckeyes in Michigan are getting top dollar in this current contract, in the new contract, and they get the most in the cash infusion, Michigan and Buckeyes are getting a whole lot in this deal, right? A whole lot in this deal. But in return, the strings attached is at 2,046 grant of rights. This isn't free money. Private firms make investments that are designed to create mutually beneficial arrangements. Those businesses provide the upfront capital in exchange for equity stakes in a business, a product, or subsidiary. The difference in this case is that the Big Ten compromises 18 universities and 16 are public universities. As the de facto state agencies, the 16 public institutions cannot sell a piece of themselves to a private enterprise, and they're not doing that on this deal. When you deal with publicly chartered universities, you do need to deal with the local state law that chartered the school, said Erwin Kishner, co-chair of the sports law group of the Herrick Feinstein law firm. You can't be perceived as selling an asset of the state. So these things are things that you need to take into consideration when you're investing into public universities. The workaround is to go through the Big Ten, which is considered a non-profit organization. Petitti and other Big Ten officials believe their conference and his assets are undervalued, a stance with which Kishner agreed. Yormark believes that the Big 12 assets are undervalued. The SEC believes their assets are undervalued. The ACC believes their assets are undervalued. And that is why all these conferences are going through this process. Back to the article. The danger is, if the Big Ten uses a subsidiary and cannot meet its financial obligations, an outside entity will control those assets. But there's little fear that the Big Ten won't continue to grow financially and make this arrangement lucrative for everyone involved, provided Ohio State and Michigan remain a part of it. Again, Michigan and Ohio State have to be a part of this deal. The fact is, Michigan and Ohio State, you could throw Penn State in there, when then start arguing about which other schools belong in the top tiers, are better equipped not just survive but thrive in a future where the traditional conference structure falls apart. Long-term security is not as much of a concern for the Buckeyes and the Wolverines as it is for Rutgers, Maryland, Purdue, and Northwestern. Both on the field and at the box office, so to speak. The gap between the Big Ten powerhouses and the rest of the conference is more substantial than in the SEC. Of the 97 games involving the Big Ten teams that exceeded 3 million viewers, in 24, 58, 60% involved either Ohio State or Michigan. Those trying to predict the future believe schools toward the bottom of the pecking order don't necessarily have to fear being kicked out of the Big Ten. The threat is being left behind the way Washington State and Oregon State were when the Pac-12 fell apart. I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. Been saying that for 4 years. It isn't that the Big Ten is going to kick out schools or the SEC is going to kick out schools. It's that the top half of the Big Ten breaks away and the others get left behind to reimagine a new Big Ten conference. Same thing with the SEC. Same thing with any conference. Could happen in the Big 12. Could happen in the ACC. It's happened in the Pac-12. It's also happened in the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma left. The Big 12 had to reimagine itself. That can happen in the Big 10. That can happen in the Big... No one's getting kicked out, but the top schools might leave if there is something better out there. I'm not so sure that there is at this time. But again, forever is a very long time, and realignment never sleeps. Whatever the next version of college football looks like, be it a Super League or something else, Ohio State and Michigan don't have to worry about having prominent seats at the table. For most others, it's an open question where they fit. What Petitti is trying to pitch to all his members, but especially to the ones at the top of the food chain, is that everything you want athletically, academically, and financially, you can have under the umbrella of the Big Ten. Now let's keep in mind, as great as athletic department that Ohio State is, as great athletic department that Michigan is, as valuable a brands they are, those two schools have always insisted to play among their peers. Big, large research universities. This has been Michigan's mission since day one. So again, Petitti is trying to go at that angle, right? Athletically, academically, and financially, you can have everything here in the Big Ten. That's his pitch. That could even include the Big Ten being a part of another reformed national structure of major college football. Maybe even one that includes conferences pooling their TV rights. The reforming of the 1961 Broadcasting Act. But again, the Big Ten and the SEC are going to want the power to negotiate, not give it to some government entity. Back to the article. But ideally, an extension of the grant of rights combined with a financial windfall from private capital would prevent any of the Big Ten schools from being the next left behind. That is the motivation for Maryland, Rutgers, Purdue, Northwestern, possibly Illinois, Minnesota, Indiana, a lot of us. The motivation to do all this is we're not going to be left behind. That's the motivation. The motivation for the Buckeyes in Michigan to do this is, well, they're going to get the top premium money in a top premium research athletic conference with major markets. But can they find a better deal? Can the Buckeyes and the Wolverines find a better deal? How much power and money will the rest of the Big Ten have to relinquish to buy out Ohio State and Michigan potential free agency? To be determined. Is there a point where the lesser brands determine they are giving up too much to the top? Make it impossible for them to even try to compete with the financial might of the top schools? Maybe. And again, of course, there's got to be a breaking point, right? For the bottom half of the schools of the Big Ten, maybe the bottom 12 of the 18, you only can give up so much. I mean, at some point, it's like, well, you're going to break away? Go break away. Because we can't give up everything. We've been building this conference since 1896. There's only so much we can do. If this ain't good enough for you, go ahead and break away and play with some of the SEC teams, and we will reimagine the Big Ten. There's only so much you can bend, right? Only so much. But if the Big Ten wants to truly follow the ACC's lead, a revenue distribution model that allows for upward mobility and rewards performance instead of just legacy could take care of that. Exactly when the Big Ten will be ready to put this deal to a vote is unclear. How it goes. Now, this is the PATC money shot number 2 of the article. How it goes could provide a glimmer of the clarity along a murky path for college sports. How all this ends up. And that's what I like most about this story. If the reporting is accurate, and I'm not going to blame anybody if the reporting becomes inaccurate, because these things, this could be very fluid. But if the reporting is accurate, we are going to get some sort of answer by the end of the month. By the end of the month. That could be next week. That could be 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. And if the answer, it's not going to happen. If the answer is no, well, what does that mean? Does that mean the Big Ten is going to break up in 2030, 2036, when it becomes a lot easier because that's when the grant of right ends? No, it doesn't mean that. But it does mean that they weren't quite sure about the private capital deal, or Michigan and the Buckeyes did not want to give up their flexibility, and that the Big Ten, a lot of the Big Ten schools will be, well, they're going to be gazing over the college football landscape because the next wave of disruption, the next wave of realignment. I don't know. It could be really fluid, right? But let's imagine, if you will, that a deal does get done. That Michigan and Ohio State got such a good slice of the pie. They project that the next media rights deal is going to be so much more money. We know that the Buckeyes want to expand the conference. We know that Michigan wants to expand the conference. We know they've got plans in the Big Ten. So what if they strike this deal? Does that bring clarity? I think it does. One, if they strike this deal, if it gets done, other conferences are going to follow. The Southeastern Conference is not going to allow this to happen in the Big Ten. They're going to get their own cash infusion. They're going to try to get a better deal. They know where the benchmark is. They're going to try to come over the top. Also, if this deal absolutely gets done, it destroys any more talk and discussions about a Super League. At least a Super League that involves Big Ten schools. There might be a Super League. There might be some sort of Super League involving Big 12 and ACC schools. Those clandestine phone calls, I think, has a lot to do with the Big Ten is doing now. In other words, we all had those Super League discussions, right? Where a private capital firm comes on in, billions of dollars comes on in, 70 teams, right? We all had that discussion. But the Big Ten, we talked about it yesterday, our live show was about it yesterday. What the Big Ten is trying to do is they're trying to take those Super League concept and ideas and create their own structure, but it'd be 18 schools, at least for now, and not 70 schools. Same deal. Same deal. Different tier payouts, just like what that 70-team Super League we're offering. Different tier payouts, different inducement plans, different cash infusion plans. That's what this is. And none of this happens in a vacuum. None of it happens in a vacuum. When the reports were coming out about the Rudy Project, when the reports were coming about the College Sports League, and the Big Ten and the SEC, they were telling Yahoo Sports, they were telling Brett McMurphy, they were telling Heather Dinich, they were telling them, look, why would we do that Super League if we can do it on our own? And that's what the Big Ten is attempting to do. But again, nothing happens in a vacuum. With the Big 12 and the ACC, you remember that Ross Dellinger article, that report? Clandestine phone call. Who was it with again? Redbird Capital? What they're trying to do with some schools in both those conferences, that's what the Big Ten's working on. There are ACC schools that are a believer in a private capital strategic partner. There are big-time ACC schools that are a believer in that. And if they can keep their friends, their associations together and maybe do some sort of thing with Big 12 schools, well, they're looking at it. They're looking at it just like the Big Ten's looking at it. Just like the Southeastern Conference has looked at it. None of this is happening in a vacuum. That is why I get so pissed off, excuse my language, when people are not being consistent in how they're delivering this information. One conference does it and it's green and it's horrible and it's disgusting. Another conference do it and it's innovative, it's genius, it's looking forward, it's looking out for those institutions. I've got people saying, well, it's different, Greg. It's different. The Big 12 schools are just trying to survive. Big Ten schools are trying to survive. SEC schools are trying to survive. There is only a handful of schools out there that have such gigantic brands and fan base and generational money and sponsorship that they don't have to worry. The 90% of us, we do. So yeah, that's the way it is. I mean, look at Northwestern. Look at Northwestern. Having a relationship with Northwestern, being in the same athletic conference as Northwestern, is worth a lot of money to the Big Ten institutions. It just is. People talk about TV viewership all they want, but having shared federal grants with Northwestern has been a huge benefit to every Big Ten university. And not just Northwestern. The other huge research universities. Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota. But let's just take Northwestern for a moment. Next year, they're going to be opening up an $800, $900 billion football stadium. It's going to be one of a kind. 35,000 seats. It's being built like a soccer stadium. Every seat in the football stadium is premium seat. They're all going to be top of the line seats to sit in. They're going to be sitting right on the football field. And there's not going to be any debt to Northwestern. It's all being paid by booster money. $800, $900 billion football stadium. Northwestern is a chartered member of the Big Ten. The relationship that Ohio State and Michigan have with Northwestern has been very valuable to Ohio State and Michigan, and they know it. It's just one example of why I think Michigan and the Buckeyes are not going anywhere. But it's possible. Definitely never going to close the door on it. And if Michigan and Ohio State lead the Big Ten, it's going to be because of their choosing. Not by government decree, not by some booster in Lubbock, not by some senator in Virginia. It's going to be by their own decision. The question is, can the Big Ten keep Ohio State and Michigan happy? They've been happy for decades. Look at those institutions. Look how much money they make athletically, research-wise. Do you really want to break all that up? And Michigan has been so assertive in how to expand the conference. And the Buckeyes are being assertive right now in how they want to expand the conference. Is that part of the negotiations? Remember, Michigan leads one faction. The Buckeyes lead the other faction. And they not just might, highly probable that they have different top candidates for Big Ten expansion. Is that going to be part of the negotiations? Not just the slice of the pie, but exactly how do you want to build the future of the Big Ten? Could that be part of it? As I said on my live show yesterday, I was told the door was wide open. The door was open for me. This actually makes if this happens, if this private capital deal happens, that actually makes the Big Ten expansion easier to get done, not more difficult. Those who are told me. They don't know if this is going to happen, but if it does, it makes it easier. And I went through all the reasons why yesterday. Let me go through the super chat. I appreciate you guys' generosity, helping us keep the lights on here, grow the channel. I appreciate it so very much. And then we're going to get to your phone calls. Helmer Henderson, if the Big Ten locked into 246 and the SEC gets a deal that swamps the Big Ten deal, the Big Ten is screwed. Long contracts, ask the ACC, can be dangerous. Okay. Thank you for the $5 holler. Number one, we're going to go through this again. The grant of rights is not the media rights in the Big Ten. Going to 2046 does not change the current media contract. It's going to be renegotiated in 2029. The contract ends in 2030. Going to 2046 does not mean the current TV contract goes to 2046. So it isn't the same as the ACC. Not the same thing. However, what I would agree with you on, Mr. Henderson, is you are locked into 2046 when it comes to the deal with the private capital firm or company or whatever this is. In other words, you're locked into the fact that the private capital firm is one slice of your whole conference all the way to 2046. And in that deal, they're gonna know that they're gonna get so much money, the corporation. And the Southeastern Conference then may be able to go over the top and get a better deal with their private capital firm or company or media partner. And their deal could be better than the Big Ten deal, and then the Big Ten cannot get out of that deal with their private capital. That is what I would agree with you on. That is, and we talked about it yesterday. I think that might be the number one problem that Michigan and Ohio State have. They don't want to be the first one in the pool. They don't want the Big Ten to be the first one in the pool. But in regards to the media money, media contracts, this does not lock in the Big Ten when it comes to their media money. Helmer Henderson, thank you again for the super chat. Appreciate it. Athletics is just pennies on the dollar compared to research revenues, etc. So why not rely on the schools instead of going for outside cash? Great question. I think I have the answer. I might not have the answer. I might be wrong. A lot of people ask this question because I believe, and if I'm wrong on this, then Minnesota better vote no on this deal and squash it. Because it can't be just about the money. If this is just about money for a private capital company, firm, media company, whatever this is, it can't be just about the money. If it's just about the money, this has got to die, in my opinion. But I don't think it's just about the money, because when we were reporting on the Big 12 situation, when they were exploring this, we were told that this wasn't just about the money for the Big 12. It was about having a private capital, private equity firm tied with a major media company so they could have leverage in their next media rights negotiations. That was the Big 12. That's what Brett Yormark was trying to do. So the Big 10, you would think they're trying to do the same thing. That private capital, private equity, media, whatever this is, that's giving you $2 billion, they better also be giving you expertise, some connection to larger revenue streams, different sponsorships, international markets, or just they are a media company. They are a media company, and they're going to give you the moon, the stars. They're going to give you everything in the next media rights deal. Maybe it's Fox. Maybe this whole thing is Fox driven. Maybe it's Fox that wants. You remember they got more that they got more of the Big Ten network, right? Do you know why Fox got more of the Big Ten network? They went from 51% to 61% because the Big Ten network is making so much money for Fox. It's making more and more money. These women's sports, they're getting more eyeball. It's a money maker. What if Fox wants to do this? We'll give you $2 billion. But we get one slice of this. Not just the Big Ten Conference, which they do. Remember, there are 19 current slices of the Big Ten. There's 16 of them. And then there's Oregon and Washington, which the slice right now is a little bit smaller. And then there is the 19th slice, the Big Ten Conference. What if it's Fox that wants to be the 20th slice? If it's Fox, you can understand, okay, we might be able to. What if it's Amazon? What if it's Netflix? We just got this report that Netflix wanted to do this Notre Dame USC thing, right? Netflix just signed this deal with WWE, and WWE has all these new sponsorships, and they're making all this type of money. What if it's Paramount Global? It can't, in my opinion, it can't be just about the cash infusion. It's got to be something for the next 20 years. We're going to grow. We're going to push your brand internationally. You're going to make more money because of ABC. And whoever, if this deal goes down, whoever is that 20th slice, of course they want the other 19 slices to prosper because that's how the 20th slice prospers. The actual private capital, or whatever this thing is, this entity. They want their slice to grow. That's how they're going to make their money back. So it can't, these universities can get money, but they're looking for a strategic partner, somebody that can open doors for them. Just like NBA franchises, just like NFL franchises, New England Patriots just happened, just like the Premier League that got into the American markets. Private equity, private capital is everywhere in sports because everyone made the determination that the assets were undervalued. Live sports is king. That is the best content out there because that's what the national advertisers love the most because people do not tape and then go past commercials about, they want to watch it live. So that is when your commercial is most effective. National advertisers love to spend money on live sports content. So these assets are undervalued, especially college sports. So it can't be just about the money. It's got to be something else in this deal, in my opinion. Thank you for the $5 holler, Hemmer Henderson. I appreciate your question, your comment. I appreciate you coming on in. I appreciate your support. I really, really do. Thank you so very much. Ricky Tungate. Greg, do you prefer a super chat or given a gift, or does it matter? I don't know. Don't give me a gift. Super chat's fine. Don't give me a gift. It is very difficult. I don't need anything. All I need is enough support. All I need is enough support to show the little. I hope she's not listening. All I need is enough support to show the little general that it is worth my time to be spending all these hours in the studio, throwing elbows at all of you, embarrassing myself with my predictions, being Greg the Cooler almost every week. I've got to prove to the little general that my time is well spent. That's all I'm asking for. I do not have sponsorships for the show. I don't have gambling companies. I've been offered all these types of situations. The little general and I have said no to all of them. I've been asked to join these YouTube networks. We have said no. All we do is rely on your support, just enough to get us by, just enough so I can spend time here talking about the sport that I love. And I'm on the phone anyways. I'm on the phone poking and prodding. Over the last decade, I've had so much relationships. I'm doing it anyway. So why don't I just come on here and give you what I know, what I think, what I speculate, what I report, and we have a lot of fun together. I think we do. Even though I do bash the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC, I bash my Golden Gophers. Everybody gets mad at me. But I think overall we have a good time. So Super Chat, I'm very thankful. I am. I try to say how maybe I don't use the right words, but I'm very humbled by your generosity, because I know that $20 is very hard earned, Ricky Tungate, and for you to Super Chat it to our show, I'm very thankful. Very humbled indeed. Thank you, sir. But when it comes to gifts, I'm the fat guy from Minnesota. There's just not much. There's just not much that I don't really need anything other than your support. Thank you, Ricky Tungate. I appreciate it. Where's Bob? I want some Gophers propaganda. Bob is hiding under the blankets right now, Tony. My twin brother Bob is very scared of the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's not going to be pretty. But I do think Tough Tony, Expedition Greg, I do think. Oh, did he mean gift memberships? Oh, I'm a moron. Tungate, I'm sorry, I'm a moron. Gift memberships are great too. Either way, whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, Ricky Tungate, gift memberships are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm a moron. I didn't even... Thank you, Illini Ted. That's why the Fighting Illini are ahead of the Minnesota Golden Gophers in the standings. Because I am a moron. By the way, Expedition Greg, Tough Tony. There's going to be one play in that game tomorrow night. Everybody else, listen to me. Everybody else, look, I know you're all shaking your head going, this ain't the time for Golden Gopher propaganda. Not when you're going against the number one team in the country. Not when that number one team in the country is the defending, reigning national champions. Not when that number one team in the country is only averaging, giving up 5.5 points. Greg, this is not the time for Gopher propaganda, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. There's going to be one play in that game. That's going to shock the hell out of you. There's going to be one play where Drake Lindsey, the Golden Gopher quarterback, is going to go back in the pocket. Oh, he's going to get rushed. He's going to get killed tomorrow night. Caden Curry is going to eat him up and spit him out. But there's going to be one play. Where Drake Lindsey, escapes the pocket. No, he's not a fleet of foot. Yeah, he is a statue. But there's one play in that game tomorrow night where he's going to step up in the pocket. He's going to avoid the rush. Somehow, somewhere, it's going to be a miracle. He's going to step up. He's going to fling that football, and he's going to hit Jalen Smith for a touchdown. Yes, the Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to score a touchdown on the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's going to be Drake Lindsey to Jalen Smith, and it's going to be a long, long passing play. Lock it in. Greg the Gold, I'm guaranteeing you there's going to be an offensive touchdown by my beloved Golden Gophers. 66-10, but the Gophers do score a touchdown. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Expedition Greg, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Expedition Greg, I remember when Olympics used to tape back in the day, but now it's all live, Olympic live content, which is 100% better. Yeah. And if you're talking about, I know you're talking about the Olympics, but if you're talking, yeah. The Big Ten Network and the SEC Network and the ACC Network, but the Big Ten Network has been a godsend to women's sports, to Olympic sports, to non-revenue sports, because you can watch all these sports live, almost all of them live, and it has been fantastic. And the number one example is women's volleyball, what it has done for the ladies, for their opportunities, for the money that they're getting. The places are jam-packed. The Big Ten Network has been the best support of women's sports in college in the Big Ten. Pretty much anywhere. Don Scott, thank you for the $5 holler. Expedition Greg, I appreciate it. Greg, I would seriously think about selling out. Just thinking out loud. When does King Abdulaziz University in Saudi join the Big Ten? As long as they bring, what's that school in Canada? I forgot the name of the school in Canada that has a pretty decent hockey program. As long as they bring that university. College football overseas makes sense to attract international students. That is what it's all about. The viewers, the new sponsorships, and the students. I'm sorry, Greg, but every time I hear private equity, I think of all the companies like Sears. Yep. There's a lot of examples of that, OPCAT. There's also OptiCat. There's also a lot of examples of it working, especially in sports. But you are correct. And in the report of this Big Ten situation, it wouldn't be like that. But anyways, I appreciate it. Okay, hold on one second. We are going to open up the phone lines. We're going to open up the phone lines here. We've got another super chat. OBD Don. Super chat. Opie, well, if she's the moderator, then doesn't that mean she is listening? The little general has a hands-off type of attitude when it comes to be the moderator. very rarely is she listening, paying attention to what we're doing. She only really pays attention to, am I getting enough support, comments, and all that stuff. Also, sometimes she will go through the comments after the show. If somebody is nasty, like somebody says, like, it's got to be really clear because English is their second language. So if somebody really comes down on me, like they're saying bad words, whatever, she'll take care of that. But other than that, no, she's not paying attention. She's not paying attention, Opie. Thank you for the super chat, Opie. Appreciate it. Ricky Tungate, yes, gift membership. Either way, Ricky. And I apologize. I wasn't thinking. Thank you for the $2 holler, Ricky. Gift membership, super chat, either way. But I appreciate your generosity through the weeks. Many months, multiple years. Mr. Hoosier, Ricky Tungate, appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Canes by 17. I appreciate you picking against them, my friend. Did I? Yeah, I did. I took Florida State. But look, I'm Greg the Gold, Rock and Ran. I went 7-6 last week. 7-6. Pure brilliance. You know, I can't even... Why did I pick Florida State? I can't even remember why I picked them. We had to make... Look, we have excuses built in this week. We had to make our picks so fast because of the breaking news that was happening. Expedition Greg, I believe we will shut out Minnesota. No! Now we're scoring a touchdown, baby. We are scoring a touchdown. McGill, there it is. Thank you, Jason. McGill. McGill University. Really good hockey program. Or they used to be. I don't know what it is anymore. So if the Saudis won, I'm not a big fan of that, but whatever international universities come to join the Big Ten, if the Big Ten still remains the Big Ten, bring in McGill University. Kenneth Maynard says the Gophers will score 14. Now, Kenneth, I think you're getting a little bit out there. Steel Austin, thank you to the Little General for sharing Greg the Gold. Thank you, Steel. Appreciate the kind words. I appreciate it. Live football is coming soon. BYU in West Virginia, what is going to happen tonight? It wasn't part of our picks. What's BYU, what are they favored? By 18, 19 points? The BYU Cougars, I think, are favored in every game except for that they have on their schedule. For right now, they're favored in every game except for the Texas Tech Red Raiders game, I believe. Man, BYU, I know they haven't had a really difficult schedule, but they've looked impressive. Well-coached team. Sataki is smart players, good players. You've got a true freshman quarterback that is developing. And they haven't lost a game, and the defense is excelling. West Virginia is going to get throttled. Who is West Virginia starting quarterback tonight? Who's going to be their starting quarterback? Is it Wilkin? Wilkin? BYU will cover. They aren't a great team, but West Virginia is horrendous. I hear venture capital. My brain says vulture capital. The Big Ten will be liquidated. I don't think it's going to be, if it happens, it ain't going to be that type of deal. They're going to give them a slice. I don't think it's that type of deal. But who knows? I could be wrong. Simon Fraser, I don't know. You'd think with the addition of Washington and Oregon, maybe they would, I don't know. They were talking about moving up, but that all fell through a couple years ago. But I was thinking about McGill. I wasn't thinking about Simon Fraser. Simon Fraser made a serious attempt to try to be eligible to have their hockey program play Division I programs here in the States, but it did not work out. At least not right now. Thank you, John Grove. Thank you, guys. My mind went blank. Wilkins. Khalil Wilkins. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, let's open up the phone lines. Let's do it. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Talk about college football. Anything in college football that your heart desires.
From
Rick.
Rick is on the line. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about with the need for codification.
Yep.
Who do you anticipate would sue?
If it doesn't get codified?
Yeah.
Everybody. A whole bunch of people, lawyers, everybody. And the problem with that is, if it doesn't get codified and things go belly up, whether it be the Deloitte situation or the College Sports Commission situation or the rev share situation or the eligibility rules situation, the transfer portal, in other words, there is no legitimate body that can make any rules and it all gets sued to hell, then what happens is the settlement gets destroyed, the House lawyers rip up the agreement, and now the schools and the conferences and the NCAA, that $2.8 billion back pay they do owe, might go up to $20 billion. That is the problem.
So there's concern about whether or not the organizations and the distribution that was provided for in the settlement are worth a darn.
Well, they're worth something. I mean, all the players, look, you can't deny that more student athletes are getting paid more money than ever before. There's a lot of positive things that have happened in that settlement. It's not perfect, right? They're not, and lawyers for House were not a direct representation of the current student athletes and future student athletes. So that's not good either. But they do have their thumb over everybody, and that includes all the schools and all the fan bases that I'm talking to every single day on this channel. And if we do not get that settlement codified, if it gets destroyed, then there is a great danger that $2.8 billion in back pay is going to go to $20 billion in back pay or more. And now we're all destroyed anyway. So that is the danger of not getting it codified. By hook or by crook.
That's an extreme case. It could be modified. It doesn't have to be destroyed.
Okay, well,
Could be tweaked.
Sure.
Okay.
But then eventually rules have to be followed. There has to be a legitimate body. Eventually we have to get there. Now, be it this, if it ain't the SCORE Act, if it ain't the SAFE Act, if it ain't a compromise of the two, call it the Rick Act, call it the Fat Guy from Minnesota Act, combine those. Something eventually has to get done. And it has to get legitimacy to the body, to the schools and the conference that run this thing. At some point, that's got to get done.
But they're claiming legitimacy now.
They're trying to get legitimacy now. They know they don't have it. That's why they're spending millions of dollars in Congress to try to get it codified.
Well, no, you don't need codification if it's legitimate.
Oh, no, wow, you trust lawyers and agents way more than I do, sir. They'll come, they'll find any. This is college football, college sports has become the ambulance that they are chasing, and they're eventually going to get more. This is their piggy bank. So no, we need codification, even if we need codification. At some point, we need it. At some point, we need it. Earlier the better. I'm not even looking for perfection anymore. We need something to happen. That's my opinion.
Oh, I don't think we need anything. I think the way it is right now is fine. It's absolutely fine.
Okay.
And if it's not fine, it'll be tweaked. We don't need government intervention. It's going along just fine. Nobody's sued yet.
Oh, they're lining up, sir. They're lining up.
Well, what are they waiting for? Codification? If you're going to do it, you'd want to do it before codification.
Oh, they're lining up.
For what? For what? What's the problem?
They don't like the clearinghouse. I read these lawyers' comments. They're all lining up, sir. They're all lining up. They're getting their ducks in a row. They're going to be sued. It's going to get sued. No matter what, it's going to get sued. It just is.
But I'm saying it's only a problem if it destroys the whole thing. It doesn't have to be a problem if it makes it better. What if there are things wrong with Deloitte that need to be fixed?
But what if codifying makes things better? I mean, you saw what the Senate Democrats offered. It's got to be a compromise. I mean, more 10 years. What in that Senate Democrat bill that they were giving the labor a better deal out of everything in some parts. And they also agreed with the settlement in some parts. They said the rev share, the 22%, all this stuff. They want to give 2 transfers per student before they have to skip a year and all. I mean, they made it a little bit better. We can make it better through codification. Compromise. Let's get it done.
Well, that's what they did to get the House settlement.
Yes.
And that's where we're at now.
And we can make it even better for labor, Rick. You should be applauding me because I'm more on your side right now.
It's just the opposite. It's just the opposite. Codification would ruin it.
All right,
it would take away the player's ability to sue. And you wouldn't want to do that because you're for the players.
I'm for everybody, Rick. I'm for everybody.
You want the players to have their rights.
Yes,
Why
I
would
do.
You want to take away?
But I don't want destruction either. We've already had this argument. I want a win-win.
Have it right now. Don't break it.
I want a win-win without the lawyers and the agents winning.
Well, then stop trying to break it with codification.
All righty, sir.
If you don't codify, I won't sue.
Got it. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.
You too, sir. Thank you for the call. Phone lines are open. Here we go.
Call from
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher, can you just hold on for a moment, please?
Take your time.
I appreciate your patience. Thank you, sir. We got a super chat here. Let me make sure. I lost my page. Super chat just came in. Super chat, Kenneth Maynard. It will be interesting to see what the American and ESPN does with private capital. They may set the tone with the shakeup of the G6 towards a rush to consolidate the fewer with top brands for survival. Well, thank you for the super chat, Kenneth Maynard. Thank you for the $10 holla. Thank you for your generosity. I very much appreciate it, Mr. Pirate. Thank you so very much. That raises a very interesting. Before we get to Christopher Hooter here, now we've seen ESPN buy into what was the sports league that they bought into? I can't remember, but they bought equity into I can't remember what it was. It was something just recently, but maybe ESPN is willing to do a deal with the SEC or the American. Maybe the Fox is the entity that may be looking at doing a deal, or one of the three that are looking at doing a deal with the Big Ten. I kind of don't think that's what's going on, but it's a possibility. Christopher Hooter, go ahead, sir. The floor is yours. Thanks for your patience, sir.
Well, to continue with that thought, did I dream this, or was the NFL potentially in talks to sort of buy an equity share in Disney or ESPN? And
I'm really having a lacrosse is the NFL Network. The National Lacrosse League. That's what happened.
Not lacrosse. The NFL and Disney.
Okay. I know they did the National Lacrosse League. I know they did that. Go Black 45 is correct. The NFL Network, I think they just bought that out, didn't they? Didn't they buy that?
Not sure.
I don't know. But they did the equity thing with National Lacrosse League. Thank you, Go Black 45. I appreciate it.
When you had mentioned maybe Fox and ESPN and all that were maybe some of these private equity partners, that's just kind of what came to mind there.
Yeah.
So I have a colleague, a buddy, an attorney. He's older, he's retired. He worked at several athletic departments. He kind of whispers to me that if the top 32 broke off, he thinks they could probably get, say that 32 teams. Mm-hmm. Let's just say. He thinks they could probably double what they're getting now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, 32 sounds like a lot, but a lot of people get left out at 32 or even 36 or whatever. So is that what this is about? Is this trying to placate the upper tier of the Big Ten to kind of whoa, stay put, buddies, don't move?
It could be. Now the thing is there is value in the SEC brand, right? There is value in the Big Ten brand. So
yes.
You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to redo your branding, whatever this 32 team league is, and all that. But yeah. And look, I think I don't think I'm going out on a limb here, but I think there's probably a handful of SEC programs that are probably going, come on, baby, come on. I hope this happens in the Big Ten because, then it's going to happen with us. You know what I'm saying? It's like there are schools in the SEC that they want that stability, right?
Yes.
And if it happens in the Big Ten, that means the top brands in the Big Ten are not going anywhere for a very long time. And now there's nowhere for the SEC top brands to go. So,
yeah.
So
it brings stability. It brings some sort of stability.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
without the nightmare scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it'd be interesting if that happened, and I'm fortunate my school, I'm an alumnus of a school that would be in the top 32.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if I'm not saying that's good for college athletics, right?
Yep.
So, yeah, so that was interesting, and I appreciate the clarification on the media rights versus the grant of rights.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. So the Big Ten's grant of rights run through 2036.
Yes.
Even though they got to redo their media rights here in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It just it gives the grant of rights going to 2036 gives the conference the ability to negotiate with media partners to bundle everyone's content together because they own each school's media rights to 2036. But there's going to be a new media negotiations in 2029, I suppose, maybe late 2028. But still, it is a big deal to give a conference your media rights all the way to 2046 if you're Michigan and Ohio State. If you're Minnesota, it's not. Sure, you can have it. You can have it to 2086. But for Michigan, for Michigan and Ohio State, that's a big deal. So it's interesting.
Yes. Do you know how the SEC is similarly structured?
No, I don't. I know forever the SEC did not have even an exit fee attached because no one's leaving the SEC. But I think a few years ago they put some nominal number on there where you got to pay something, but it ain't much. I believe that's true. I'm not sure. So no, I do not know. Nobody's leaving the SEC. And nobody's leaving the Big Ten. They may not formally have it. Nobody's leaving the Big Ten unless it's about what you mentioned, a 32-team, 28-team, whatever this is, and it's some SEC, some Big Ten, and maybe the top couple of the ACC, and you do your own thing.
And Notre Dame. Notre Dame.
Unfortunately, yes.
And while that would be interesting, that my God, that would create such havoc.
Yeah, it would.
In college athletics.
Yeah, it would.
So, anyway, okay. Well, I wanted to say I enjoyed the program. I appreciate the clarifications there. To tell Rick they've got to codify it.
Yeah.
Because there's too many unknowns if they don't. The lawyers will be suing forever.
Yeah. I agree,
it'd be like the NCAA kicking the can to SCOTUS, and then losing 9-0, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Well,
appreciate it, sir. Great call.
Yes, sir. Talk to you. Okay, bye.
Call from
Evil Badger.
The Evil Badger, Ryan Willie, is on the line. It's Wisconsin and Michigan, 12 noon Eastern time, 11 in the morning Central time. First, before Ryan Willie gives us his words of wisdom, his words of knowledge, let's look at the PATC current head coach hot seat ranking. Luke Fickell is number 5 on the list. I will tell you this, Ryan Willie. If the Evil Badgers somehow, some way, pull off the miracle and they upset the Wolverines, Luke Fickell is coming off this list. But if the Badgers get crushed, if the Badgers go out on their backs, if it's Michigan 37 and Wisconsin 9, Luke Fickell is going to go all the way up to number 2 on this list. What do you think's going to happen, Ryan Willie? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, hey, Greg. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet, buddy.
I do have a question to answer your question with a question. what if Wisconsin loses the homecoming game after they? I don't believe they'll beat Michigan, but I'm hoping that they'll be able to keep it close. But what if they keep losing and lose against Iowa? What do you think will happen?
If they keep it within 10 against Iowa?
If they, I'm hoping that they can keep it close against Michigan.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll win.
Yeah.
After what happened with Iowa last year,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Wisconsin. I will tell you my opinion. I think the players have started to not listen to Fickle, and right now they're just playing out the season right now and don't really care.
Yeah. The Iowa Hawkeyes are always going to play for that head coach of theirs, no matter what. They have a great culture at Iowa. But Mark Gronowski, I don't know if he'll be back for the Wisconsin. I think he's more injured than they're letting on. We'll see. I think he's got a sprain, something and another in his knee. It's the knee that he had a MCL tear at South Dakota State. So I don't know if they'll have their starting quarterback when they play Wisconsin.
Well, right now they're not. I don't believe Edwards is going to be back the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think after going out in the first couple series in the first game, and then a couple weeks later, after a few plays, going out again, I don't think Edwards is too injured to come back the rest of the year. As far as O'Neal goes, I compare him to Brandon Locke, which is not good.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably be down to the third stringer, which is Hunter Simmons. And I just think that they're basically going to finish out the rest of the year. I hate to see this, but I think they're going to end up 2-10.
Wow.
And at that point, I mean, the former players have said that Fickle doesn't really want their input. He doesn't want the former players around the team, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, Joe Thomas and J.J. Watt coming to talk to him, but that's like once a year thing, and I just don't. So, do you think Fickle would be number one in your hot seat if they lose the rest of the year?
Well, I think if they get trounced against Michigan, he may pop up to number 2. I think the days of Billy Napier at Florida, if Florida goes down, I think they're only. I think Florida is only. What is that? A 6-point spread? Florida, Texas, 6.5. If Florida gets hammered at home, I can see Billy Napier not having a job by Monday. So I'm not going to put, if Florida gets hammered at home, I'm not going to put Luke Fickell at number 1, even if Wisconsin gets hammered. But yeah, my eyes are on Billy Napier this week, and I think the Michigan Wolverines defense is going to, just like the Buckeyes defense against the Gophers, I think they're going to hammer us, Ryan Willie. I think our two teams are going to be handcuffed and pummeled, and I don't think there's much we can do about it.
Okay. Well, at least I won't be able to watch the Badger game because I'll be at a Brewer playoff game.
There you go. Congratulations.
Um, but the main reason I called is I'm just sick of the hypocrisy of the Big 12 media, the Big 12 fans. They did the same thing with the Pac-12 as the Big 10 did. They took teams out of the Pac-12. They tried to get private equity into their league. I'm just sick and tired of all the hypocrisy.
Yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy out there. I mentioned that early in the program. There's a lot of it. There's not a lot of consistency in people's arguments right now.
I think they just don't want to see the Big 10 fall flat and end up like they are right now.
I don't think the Big 12 is flat at all. I think the Big 12 is doing fine. I think they're making some deals. I think they've got a great commissioner. I just think they're working on the same operandi as the Big 10. I don't think either one of them has the black hat going on right now. But other people see it differently, Evil Badger.
I know, but that's why I am an Evil Badger.
Yes, you are. You are the Evil Badger, and I'm the good guy, Golden Gopher.
And I hope that the Badgers bring back the Axe to Madison this year, but
well, we'll
who
see.
knows?
Who knows?
All right. Well, that's all I had.
I appreciate the call,
right.
sir. Thank you
All
so
right,
very
thank you.
much, Evil Badger.
All right. Bye.
If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you liked our content tonight. And share the video with your family and friends. But please subscribe and open up those notifications because we can come on in the morning, in the afternoon, at night. Yesterday we did a breakfast live show because we had a talk. We had to talk college football. So keep your head on a swivel. I want to thank everybody who's come on in, and especially those who donated to this program to help us keep the lights on, to help us grow the channel. Ryan Willie, thank you so very much. Christopher Hooter, Kenneth Maynor, Helmer Henderson, Ricky Tungate, Expedition Greg, Opie D. Don, and Kenneth Maynor. Again, thank you guys so much for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. We had a bunch of phone calls today, which makes me feel good. I want to hear from all of you. Thank you guys so very much. Again, tomorrow at 12 Eastern Time, 11 o'clock Central Time, PATC Watch Party. PATC Watch Party. The Iowa State Cyclones versus the Cincinnati Bearcats. Come join us. Come hang out for at least a little bit. We're going to have a lot of fun. A big Big 12 matchup. The Cyclones, they got some injuries in the secondary, missing their two starting quarterbacks. The Cincinnati Bearcats, the line is only 1.5. The Cincinnati Bearcats with Brendan Sorsby. Can Cincinnati win this game? And if they do, what does that mean for the Cincinnati Bearcats? What does that mean for the Big 12 football race? Buckle up, brace for impact. Join us tomorrow. PATC Watch Party. We're going to have a lot of fun. Again, before you leave, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.